let's take a look at St. Peter's. So St. Peter's, there is a tie between the two teams. Have you heard about this one yet?
Isn't it Zakai Ziegler's half-brother?
Yep. Zakai Ziegler's half-brother plays for the University of St. Peter's or St. Peter's University, whichever one it might be. As far as St. Peter's, we've got a first look at the Vols' first-round opponent. That is on offthehooksports.com. First of all, the resume. The Peacocks made the NCAA tournament after beating Fairfield 68-63 on Saturday to secure the MAC tournament conference tournament win. And by the way, I say MAC because it's got two A's. It's not the MAC. The skinny on them. The Peacocks average about 65 points per game. That's not good. That's 343rd in the NCAA. They gave up 63.5 per contest. That's 12th best in college basketball. They outscored their opponents by 1.8 points per game, so they play in a lot of close games. The Peacocks typically out-rebound their opponent, averaging 35.6 rebounds per game. That's 155th in the nation, 2.5 more than the 33.1 that its opponents rebound average. St. Peter's hit 5.9 three-pointers per game, 316th best in the NCAA. Its opponents averaged 5.7 made threes. The Peacocks forced turnovers, winning that battle as well. So this is exactly the type of team that Tennessee, I don't believe, wants to face. A physical team that pounds it down low, that's going to battle with you. We'll get into some of the names here in a second, and they're not as good or athletic as Tennessee, but their approach is probably something Rick Barnes would have been fine without.
I disagree. This is exactly the type of team you want to face in the tournament.
And it's
the exact type of team not built for a tournament run. And the reason they're not, it's one thing when you face a Mississippi State or South Carolina, a Power 5 team that wants to get into a slogfest with you by playing down low and going on defense. But Dave, what do they have that St. Peter's doesn't have? They have actual size that makes things tough for Tennessee. Now, I'm ready for the jokes. Don't come at me for the jokes, guys. But St. Peter's doesn't have a lot of size, okay? And they win by out-muscling teams down low at their respective level. Well, you know this, Dave. At these smaller levels of college basketball, it's like high school ball, which is to say 6'6" and 6'7" guys play center, and then they outmuscle you down low. They're not going to outmuscle a 6'11" Jonas Adu down low. That's not going to happen. And so, Josiah Jordan-James will win the muscle battles with them. So if you are the type of low seed from a small level to be dangerous for Tennessee, you need to be the one that shoots very well from outside, doesn't turn the ball over, and plays decent and is effective on defense. But this St. Peter's team relies on playing inside. They rely heavily on interior defense, and that's kind of right in Tennessee's favor because Tennessee can just go down low the whole game. They'll feed Jonas Adu. They'll have Dalton Connect drive in the paint. Zakai Ziegler will have his looks, but this is going to be the Connect Adu show. If both of them don't score 25 points, I'm going to be shocked.
There's so many jokes about St. Peter's name that I'm having trouble even looking at the message board. And you guys are both incredible and awful at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and judge you as incredible and awful at the very same time. Some players you need to know. We'll get to that. Quality Tire Pro has been serving the Chattanooga community since 1957. Downtown, all major brands of tires, full service automotive brake alignments. Go in there and say, "Hey, Bo." Off the Hook Sports said, "Hey, Bo." They're on Cherokee Boulevard or online at qualitytirepros.com. So if you're in the Chattanooga area, I can tell you firsthand that's where you need to take your car if you're having any sort of issue with it. All right. So when we take a look, it's not just Zakai's brother that is on St. Peter's basketball team. St. Peter's is led in scoring by Latrell Reed. He's a guard.
No, Corey Washington.
Corey Washington. All right. Give me Corey Washington. Because I got Corey Washington is the Peacocks' most efficient player, averaging 28.6 points per game.
Yeah, so St. Peter's this year has Corey Washington as their leading scorer. He is averaging just over 16 points per game. I think you were looking at the per 40 minutes. But Corey Washington is averaging 16 points per game. He is 6'6". He only played 22 games this year. So Latrell Reed has scored the most points on the year because in total.
Oh, okay. Well, so we were both right.
Yes. But either way, Corey Washington is averaging 16.5 points a game, 6.5 rebounds a game. But I would agree with you that Latrell Reed is probably the biggest offensive threat because he's the only threat from three. He's 35% from three. But problem with Latrell Reed is he's 64.5% from the free throw line and 36.5% from the field overall. 36.7% on 2-pointers. He's just not that good outside of getting hot from three every now and then. But yeah, those are really the only two players you have to worry about is Corey Washington and Latrell Reed. And Corey Washington, they live off of down low, but he is 6'6". And like I said, I think Jonas Aidoo is going to hold him to 7 points. Corey Washington won't hit double figures in this game. That's a bet. That's a prop bet right now for you guys. Corey Washington doesn't score 10 points on Thursday's game.
10 points. All right, tell us more about Washington. What do you make of him? They've got some bigs, at least for their level.
Yeah, that's Corey Washington. That's who they have as their big. And they use him by the way, his big is 6'6", 185. And this is the big point I'm trying to make. He's big relative to his level, the same way Johnny Majors was a big running back relative to the level of Tennessee football in the single wing era of the 1950s.
He's their big, and he's 6'6".
And he's 185. So he's not even that wide.
No, that's their big. And he is a guy that, like we mentioned, Reed averages most points per game, but Washington's 164 rebounds this season, tops for the Peacocks. But again, he's 6'6". Sophomore guard Brent Bland has some sticky fingers, leads the Peacocks with 41 steals this season. Sophomore forward Mohamed Sow is the force in the front court, leading the Peacocks with 35 blocks this season, second on the team with 157 rebounds. So he's the other big guy. Mohamed Sow, though, that's not easy to find, to say. Mohamed Sow is 6'9". So whereas if you're in the SEC and you say they have a big front court, you're thinking you got a 6'10" guy and a 6'8" to complement him, right?
Right.
Well, if you're on St. Peter's level, you're talking about a 6'9" guy is your big, and a 6'6" is the guy that will complement him.
Well, and they don't even start together. That's the thing. Well, actually, I take that back. They do. They do. I'm sorry, I got that wrong. Washington and Sow do start together. But here's the thing. They're both under 200 pounds. Mohamed Sow is 195. Corey Washington is 185. How are you 6'9", 195 pounds, Dave?
Been pretty close to that. Rick Terry Jewelry Design. They want to be your jeweler.
You're not close to that.
Well, it's a long story. Rick Terry Jewelry Design. Oh, 6'9" or 6'5"?
No, I said 6'9", 195.
I've never been close to that. Rick Terry Jewelry Design. They want to be your jeweler looking for affordable game day jewelry. How about the Fire Opals? The Fire Opals are a Tennessee tradition. RickTerryJewelry.com. RickTerryJewelry.com. Take part in our poll question that says, I'm honestly expecting Tennessee to blank. Flame out in the first week of NCAA's 20%. That'd be this week. Sweet 16 or better is 80%. So there's a vast difference. Now, give me a reason why St. Peter's will upset Tennessee. Difficult, I know.
I genuinely can't see how they could do it.
Now, listen, a 3's at least going to beat a 14, and a 2 might, a 16. Sorry, a 14 is going to beat a 3 in this tournament more than likely. A 15 very well could beat a 2. It's happened. Well, you said 8 times. You've got to give me some sort of reason.
Yes, but those are usually about
Tennessee fans should be concerned about.
Those are usually about matchups where a team got red hot or a team went ice cold. If you're a team that wins your games based on defense and forcing it inside, how are you going to beat, and you're super small, how are you going to beat Tennessee when you're 6'6" trying to win inside against Jonas Aidoo? Okay. Here we go. All right, okay. Here's how it's going to happen. Refs call a ticky-tack game so Jonas Aidoo gets in foul trouble. St. Peter's defense does a good job denying the paint after that, and Tennessee is just ice cold shooting the ball from outside. So they win this game 53-52.
Yep.
About as far as I can go. There.
I'll make an argument. My one argument is more on Tennessee's side than St. Peter's, and that is Tennessee, I believe, has just slightly started to rely on Dalton Connect too much. I don't think it's a problem yet, but if this were January and they were leaning on him, I would think, man, by March, he's going to be all they got. And that certainly wouldn't be good. Sports Treasures carrying over 5 million sports treasures and so much more. Following Facebook for the best sports memorabilia. Daily update Sports Treasures TN. That's Sports Treasures TN. We love them in North Knoxville. They are supplying us with the Brew McCoy autographed helmet. They will have a special signing with Dylan Sampson on Saturday where you can go by and take part. We appreciate them. If you want to join Hooker's Corner, you can win weekly prizes. And also, you can take part in our NCAA bracket challenge. Hooked on March is what we call it. Or you can take part in that for free, or you can go ahead and join and be eligible for all kinds of increased recruiting information. And also, we'll take care of you with prizes weekly, and the grand prize, which this month is that Brew McCoy autographed helmet. And it's black too. And it's really, really cool. If you haven't seen a picture of it, you need to do that. Lamont saying, I believe Tennessee already knows about St. Peter's run last year. St. Peter's team beat Kentucky, right?
Yes, I do believe they did beat Kentucky last year. Okay. I'm pulling that up, but
so you better not sleep on them. I agree that it would take something insano for Tennessee to lose, but you look at their last 10 games. St. Peter's has only lost 2 of its last 10 games, which would seem to indicate the Peacocks are playing their best basketball of the season. They beat Quinnipiac. Feel free to correct my pronunciation if you would like to.
That was 2 years ago, actually, not last year, I believe. Wasn't it 2022? So that's, to be fair.
Yeah, well, they managed to win the conference tournament, and right now I'm seeing them at about a 19-point favorite. Is that correct?
I haven't checked the line yet, but you also, I will look at that soon, but you also do have to remember this. I just pulled up that St. Peter's team that beat Kentucky. One, they had a different coach at the time. They had Shaheen Holloway, and they were, I mean, I'm just going to say it, a much more efficient shooting team during that time. Now, they didn't score a lot, but it was one of those, it was kind of like that Virginia team where they kind of played, they slowed the ball down, they worked the shot clock, but that doesn't mean they couldn't score when they needed to. So they could get hot from 3, they could be dangerous from 3, and against Kentucky, look, I'm just going to say it, I keep telling you guys this, John Calipari can't coach inside players at all. That's actually his biggest weakness. That leads to things like an upset, which is what happened in the NCAA tournament back in 2022. Rick Barnes does coach inside players much better than St. Peter's does. But the big one is St. Peter's went 9-17 from 3. They're not going.
And they did lose to Quinnipiac twice this season and then beat them in the conference tournament. So that's a team that's still playing hard. Those scare you when you play these type of teams, and they want to make a lot of noise. Let's just say that they beat Tennessee. I mean, what would that mean for their program? It would be massively, massively huge. But
this may be the worst team in the NCAA tournament, though.
Where would you rank them? Do you have 2 or 3 teams that you think are worse? Because you might be right. I mean, they're not getting in the tournament if they don't win their conference tournament.
No, not at all. I mean, and the thing is, they weren't like they're the classic example of why I've always said, and I've always believed this. I don't know why these smaller conferences, Dave, just have this regular season, and then they're like, let's just have a wide open conference tournament to put the conference champion in. Like, you really run the risk of getting one of your lesser teams in, and given the payout for the units, like I talked to you about earlier, like, you get paid for every game a team plays in the NCAA tournament. Wouldn't you want your best team that can make the deepest run in the tournament if that were the case? And
I would.
Yeah. So I don't know why they like my big suggestion has always been, if I were one of these smaller conferences, I do the conference tournament, but the team that finishes first in the league gets to play. It's at that team's stadium. They get to play at home.